iNews Views, August 2nd. In the annals of history, the athletes and musicians fade, but the ones who make fundamental improvements in humankind's way of life and in their understanding of the universe live on in their discoveries. Dr. Claudia Alexander. Bilateral trade with China totals a staggering $235 billion, but it's basically a one-way road for kimchi. China has categorized Korean kimchi as a pickled product, so it doesn't meet the Chinese safety standards for bacterial contamination. However, Chinese kimchi is imported regularly by Korean restaurants because of its price, which undercuts local producers significantly. The kimchi trade imbalance is large. Last year, China exported $104.4 million worth of the Korean staple, but South Korea only exported $16,000 worth of kimchi to China. Under the newly signed free trade agreement, each country will scrap tariffs on more than 90% of goods, including medical equipment, electronics, and kimchi, over the next 20 years. The deal is expected to increase trade between China and South Korea to $300 billion, according to estimates from the South Korean Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy. While the number of cars on Korean roads has risen exponentially since the 1970s, the number of fatalities has been declining. According to a report released by the National Police Agency, the number of traffic deaths fell below 10 per 100,000 for the first time in 40 years, thanks to greater compliance with traffic laws and safer cars. Seoul and Incheon had the fewest with 1.1 each, while at the other end of the spectrum was South Jeolla Province with 3.6 and South Chungcheong Province with 3.3. Experienced drivers are more likely to die than newbies. Seoul Olympic Park was the site of this year's ceremony on July 27th to mark the 62nd anniversary of the Armistice Agreement and to honor the sacrifices made by Korean War veterans. The annual event is to express gratitude for the physical and emotional commitment that Korean and foreign veterans made to bring peace to the Korean Peninsula. A group of 59 Korean students and 104 students from 17 countries of Korean War participants were invited to take part in the solemn ceremony. Korea's MERS epidemic is no longer a threat after more than 2 months of widespread infections and emotional trauma. In a meeting on public health, Prime Minister Hwang declared that the public can now rest easy. While 12 people are still hospitalized and receiving treatment for Middle East respiratory syndrome, the government and medical community consider the outbreak to have run its course, and it no longer poses a threat to the Korean Peninsula. Thankfully, schools and businesses are returning to normal, but many enterprises suffered financial damage from the reduced domestic demand during the crisis. 26 countries have reported cases of MERS since the first reported cases in 2012, and Great Britain now has 2 suspected cases. Samsung has announced its latest entry to the Galaxy lineup, the Note 5. The new phablet will be formally introduced in New York's Lincoln Center on August 13th. By moving up the announcement date to August, Samsung reduces the risk of being drowned out by the hype around Apple's annual September iPhone event. When Samsung released the first Note in 2011, it represented a new device category. Some analysts fear that the new Galaxy Note 5 smartphone may be eclipsed by the Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, which boasts all of the features of the company's popular flagship device in the larger size format pioneered by the Galaxy Note series. Earlier, Samsung said that it expects to earn 6.9 trillion Korean won in operating profit for the quarter that ended June 30th, a 4% decline from a year earlier. Breast cancer has claimed the life of one of NASA's pioneer scientists in the Galileo mission to Jupiter and the Rosetta Space Exploration Project. Claudia Alexander died at the age of 56, but she demonstrated her expertise in the evolution and physics of comets and Jupiter and its moons while publishing more than a dozen scientific papers and several children's books. Dr. Alexander was inspired by Kepler's research into orbital dynamics, and she has inspired hundreds of younger engineers, both male and female, to take up the torch and continue exploring space, the final frontier.